Hello, hello, hello. We are back for day 5 of the Intentional Living Virtual Tea. Thank you all for joining. As you do join, please make sure that you say hello. You know the rules of the game. If this is not your first time playing, if it is your first time, it won't be your last. So make sure that, again, you say hello, that you share this out. Because we've invited you into our virtual home. So we want to make sure that we greet you. And the only way we can do that is if we know you are there. So with that being said, we'll give it a moment for you all to join. And during that moment, what I'm going to do is share this out as well, because I wouldn't dare ask you to share something and I don't share, right? That just ain't right. So we got yet another hot topic today, another Intentional Living the Anthology co-author. Hey, Patrice, thanks for joining. So this is going to be yet another amazing night. So again, as you join, say hello, share this out. And I'm going to do the same while we wait for people to join. Hey, Kawana, thanks for joining. Let's see here. Hey, Tisha, thanks for joining. If you're just joining, you know we are at the part of the interview that we like to go ahead and share this out with the peeps, because we don't want them to miss out on this blessing, right? So I am taking a moment to do just that as we await some of those other folks that want to join us to hop on. So tell your friends, tell your fam, let them know it's going down. Okay, I got one more place to share this and we will be ready to go. Okay, great. You got that computer and the phone working, huh?
I'm trying to get it right, Dr. J. I'm trying to get it right.
As long as we got there, that's all that matters.
I'm like, it would be me.
It happens. Okay, I've shared it in my last spot.
Okay.
So, Tidra, you let me know when you get yours done and we will go ahead and get started on this for the 5th day. So, guys, okay, perfect. So, guys, ladies and gents, I should say, if you are joining, make sure you say hello so that we can greet you back. This is an interactive interview, so I want to make sure that you are talking to us, right? We don't want to just be talking to each other and feeling like we're just talking to ourselves. So if you got questions, if you got comments, if you have an aha moment, one of the things I do when I typically do my lives is if you agree with something, you say right, but you got to spell it with 2 I's, because I like to say right. You got to drag that thing out. That's when it's
right.
when you're really feeling it. So for those of you who are joining for the first time, I am Dr. Jatun Dorsey, Amazon bestselling author, speaker, life and business coach, professor, and corporate leader. So yes, I do a lot of things, and I added to that this year, visionary author for the Intentional Living, the anthology book, which is, yes, see, Tidra's already showing that book. So that is what I like to sometimes refer to as a spinoff of my book that was released last year, Intentional Living, 30 Productivity Principles to Achieve Peace of Mind. And in that book, I shared 30 principles, hence the title or the subtitle, that help you move from being busy and be more productive in life in general. And as you heard in the beginning, I do so many things that people often ask me, how do you manage all that, girl? How do and then you still look good. Like you don't look stressed out. But
yeah.
So I wanted to share some of those tips, but that is what inspired me to do this anthology this year. So I brought in 10 co-authors who are just simply amazing, each of them. And they each shared a story of their life, of how they overcame triumph, or maybe they're even still kind of in the fire, but learning how to deal with it. But they share how living intentionally helped them to get to a better place in life, despite life's challenges. So with all of that, we got Miss Tidra Jackson here. Thank you for joining us today on day 5.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
I am so excited to have you as well. So as usual, right? I've got to I've got to read your bio. So I'm getting some feedback on my video, so I want to make sure everything is okay. Okay, we'll just go with it. So for Tidra, she is a Baton Rouge, Louisiana native. She received her Bachelor of Science in Business Administration Management from Paul Quinn College. She completed her Master of Science in Human Resources from Pepperdine University. She recently launched her blog, King's Kid, where she strives to educate individuals on how God creates, covers, carries, and crowns them through working with them professionally and personally and mentoring mentee relationship development. When she isn't reading, she's blogging, cooking, traveling, and mentoring young ladies. So again, ladies and gents, welcome Tidra Jackson. Woo! We gotta make our own noise since they are virtual. So anything that we left out that you want to add before we start getting into the depths of your chapter?
Well, I'm a recruiter too, so I don't get paid for blogging at all. So my day job is I'm a recruiter by day and a blogger in the meantime, in between time.
Right. And y'all check out that poster in the back behind her. That's that
It took
author
some
board.
work getting that poster up there. I was telling my mama I didn't want to ruin my poster because you had it on the easel, and I don't own an easel. So I had to figure that thing out.
Well, you gotta get you an easel, but it looks good. It looks good for now. You work it out. Okay, so I must also add that Tidra is the baby of the bunch, but she is such a delight. She has done so many great things. She has progressed, and she is a quick learner. Like, I love that about her. Like, she doesn't need to be pushed or forced or encouraged. It's kind of like, look, I want to do this. Let me figure out how to do it. And I think that came out in your chapter, which is titled Awakening Purpose. So I think that was the perfect title for your chapter, and what I'm even getting back from you from knowing you over the past few years that I have. So the quote that you open up your chapter with is by Mother Teresa, and it says, in the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. And throughout your chapter, you kind of talk about them being a lot of different people, because we talked about work, we talked about school, we talked about organizations that you're a member of, right? And so how did you come to the realization that it really ain't about them? This is about me and God. And how did that change your perspective?
I came to that realization literally last year. So it was around January. I just made up my mind. I was like, I'm tired of feeling like this. I don't like this feeling of always being upset or always being mad or always trying to feel like I have to prove my value or my worth to anyone.
Yeah.
So I made up my mind that if it cost me my peace, it's too expensive. So I went on this peace journey to where when I was in school, people would come up to me with problems or their frustrations, and I would say, I'm just trying to maintain peace. And literally, after I said that, they would literally walk away. I wouldn't entertain it or anything. So I went on this journey of maintaining peace, not realizing that that would actually be a part of my purpose, to not only maintain peace, but give peace, live in peace, with not just with myself, but with others as well. So I started it, and it just morphed into something bigger and better. And then I realized that at the end of the day, this is, as long as I can go to sleep with a good heart, as long as I can go to sleep knowing that I gave my best and I did my all that I could do within that day, it was good. God was pleased with me. It has nothing to do with me and you, and it's not your business, but this is between me and God. Like, my purpose does not need your approval. This is God just trying to tell me.
Love
So
it. Love
once
it.
I had to get tired. honestly, I just really had to get sick and tired and get sick and tired and get sick and tired. And once I got sick and tired, that's when I was like, okay, we have to reevaluate some things because the way that I'm fighting it is not strategic.
Mhm.
And I'm fighting every battle that's coming my way. I'm not fighting specific one battle. And I had mentors along the way to help me understand how to fight, when to fight, or what and when to give my attention to. But once I literally just took everything that they said and basically started reading how God wants us to fight, then I just sat down and I just let God fight my battles. And I was just like, I'm just maintaining peace.
Yes. Whew, you said a lot there. I think you and all the previous co-authors, y'all kind of summarize it up in the first question. I need y'all to give me a moment so I can ask my question. No,
I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. But Patrice said earlier, we were talking about you taking on responsibilities and being very passionate and ambitious and dedicated. Well, she says, and you also help us older people who aren't too savvy.
Tell her she's not old. We all have those issues. We all have those issues. She's not alone.
Yes, indeed. But the many points that you just made. So I heard pick your battles. I've heard maintaining peace. And there was something else you mentioned. I can't remember right now. So I'll go to the maintaining peace because you definitely mentioned that in your chapter. And what you said on that is maintaining peace reignited the flame in me. I would not allow the experience to break me, but instead to build me up. And I had to take the necessary steps to gain peace, share peace, protect my peace, and live in peace. Now, for those of you who've not read the book, I'm just saying you got to read to what she was talking about exactly. But again, just know that she was experiencing some challenges in her career and even in school, right? So
Yeah.
I think at this point in your chapter, you had two losses. And again, folks that are listening, the common thread in all these chapters is some type of loss, right? And in this Yes, and in this case, you lost some experiences with from a career standpoint, right? That really challenged you, and to me, it sounds like it pushed you to then figure
Mm-hmm.
out that it's not about them.
Right.
But in those experiences, tell me, how did you know? Like we always talk about doors being open and doors being closed, but how did you know in your experience when those doors were really being closed by God and it was something that wasn't destined for you, or if it was a door that you should have been trying to stick around and kick down?
So, in regards to the career aspect, I knew I wanted to do something more. And I knew the moment that I worked on Thanksgiving that I'll probably never do that again. I ate my gumbo in my car and I was not happy about it.
Yes.
On top of that, it started to like the people who recruited me in, they just kind of started to disappear. Their communication started to dwindle down. So it was a lot of signs that was there. And I was like, I don't know how long this will be able to sustain. And that's okay, but I need to do something for me. And I know for sure when God wants you to grow, He will make you uncomfortable. So
Mm,
He put me in the place because it was a good place for me at the time, but my time was up. Like I was on a timeline. So I started to say, hey, I probably need to do something more. What is it that you want to do? I love developing people. I wanted to go into training and development. That was my thing. And it still is my thing. But the thing was, I knew that it was time for that next step. I started to be complacent. I started to feel like I'm in Dallas. I'm living my career. It's time for me to retire. And it's like, no, boo boo, you're just getting started. So he started to shake some things up, and I really think what my manager told me, we had that one-on-one, and he told me, it takes you 10 years to get into human resources. And I'm like, no, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna be clocking 30 by then. I cannot be just getting into my career. It doesn't have to work like that for me. If someone else wants to do it like that, that's fine, but that's not how I operate.
yeah.
So I just think it was everything hitting me at once, and that one experience forcing me to say, okay, either I'm gonna teach you how to fly or I'm gonna push you out the nest.
Mm,
So she out the nest But at the same time, God was still covering me, because that manager that told me it'll take me 10 years, I stayed there for my full year. He was gone that next month.
Ah, wow. So, in that discouragement from them, there we go again, them,
Mhm.
you couldn't
Yeah.
even see I had to bring my air quotes over here. I was way off to the side.
I got you.
But when we talk about the discouragement there, you even went through some of the things that you asked yourself, some questions that
Mhm.
really helped you to move past these challenges. And some of them were, what part of life was fulfilling? Can I make a
Mhm.
career out of it? Where there are opportunities for me to increase my knowledge in the subject matter? The most important question to me was, is this the calling on my life that God has for me? And I think that was one of the, well, not one, however many questions those were, 3 or 4. Those were the ways that you were kind of working through determining whether or not this is a
Mhm.
door that I should break down, or if a door that closed that I need to say, thank God it closed, and let me
Mhm.
move on and find the next thing.
Right.
And I think that was good
Right.
to share with your readers, because many of us go through that, right? Tweak something, you know?
And I thought I needed to try harder and tweak something, but I noticed when I tried harder and I did tweak it and things did improve, the attitude towards me was still the same. So at that
Mm-hmm.
point, you go where you're appreciated, not just tolerated. I
Uh,
mean, I was the youngest person on my team, and my numbers had improved. My numbers were better than the person who was supposed to be training me numbers. And I never received recognition for that, which was fine. I'm okay with that. But when you started to understand that that's the type of culture you in, you have a decision to make at that point. Either you're going to continue to be in that culture and it'll create burnout, or you're going to make some change and put yourself in a better culture. As for me, I didn't want to create burnout anymore, at least not in that environment. And I wanted a life that was fulfilling. And that area had served its turn for me. So
mm,
I was just like, okay, I'm going to make my moves in silence, and I'm going to just be at peace about it. And I'll let God do the work for me. So when it became time for me to leave, they were like, well, we can only give you, this position. You on a 30, 60, 90-day plan, or we can give you this other position and it's $10 less. My bills don't decrease based off what I get paid.
right.
So I was off 3 days, and when I came back, I called and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna actually resign." And I knew it was God, because I resigned a month early, but I never went lacking. I actually shopped more in that same store after I resigned than when I worked there.
Yeah. Isn't that
So
something?
I, I don't know how it worked, but it worked. So
Yeah.
I was excited about it, and I was just ready for the next chapter. So I think it was a combination of just me pushing because I was becoming complacent, and I didn't speak up in regards to my personal development and my professional development. I let someone else do the speaking for me instead of me being proactive and speaking up for myself.
Right. Well, that's good. So when you talk about speaking up for yourself, you kind of went into that too from an organization perspective that you were a part of. But before we go into that, you also talked about how you receive some rejection from educational standpoint as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then I like how you put it. It was one, you said,
The
man,
Christmas.
no, where you said, man gave me 2 options, but on the third day, God revealed another option. And that
A lot can
third,
happen in 3 days.
yes, yes. So tell us about that experience and how, you decided that, yeah, this was the thing God had for me.
So the thing that assisted me is a book by Cora Jakes. It was called Faith in It. And I on the first day, I started just reading the outside of the book, the cover, and I was like, okay, this will be a good book for me to read. At this season, I probably need a little more faith in my walk. So I read some of her chapters, just getting a feel of the book, and that was the first day. The second day, I really didn't read the chapter because I was still. And in the third day, I was chapter 2, and I just decided that, hey, I'm going to faith it out. And I was like, I'm going to resign. And I told my parents I was going to resign. For any
Mm,
parent, that's probably a little concerning considering the fact that I was in another state with rent. I didn't have a car note, but I had a cell phone bill and rent, and that's enough for my parents. I have
yeah.
6 other siblings, so that can get expensive very fast. But I just told them I was going to resign, and I was at peace with it. And they were like, "Are you sure?" And I was like, "I'm positive." And I felt a sense of relief over me, and I felt peaceful about it. And I knew it was confirmed on my last day. I actually thought I was going to cry walking out. And my last day, I just felt like a weight was lifted off of me. And I was like, this was the right decision for me. I'm going to walk into something bigger and greater that God has for me.
Awesome. So then when you walked into that bigger and greater, how did that feel in comparison to what you were walking through before?
It felt good, but it was a different, it was another level. Like they said, another level, another devil. It
Mm,
was a completely different level that it hit me in the face like a ton of bricks. I was not ready.
yeah.
But the first, and I break it up into semesters because that another level was my master's program. So I was very happy to go into the program, but I didn't really know what to expect going into the program.
Mm,
I've never experienced, I've never experienced the West Coast, the East Coast, or the North. I've always experienced the South. So everything was just different for me. Every aspect was different for me. And that's an adjustment. So my first semester was purely an adjustment mode, but it was also a mode where I started to just recognize a lot of the dynamics, the cliques, the undermining, sometimes the microaggressions. And I've
mm,
never experienced any of that in my life. So all of that was an adjustment for me, even regarding to health. I probably had more panic attacks in that one little semester than I did in my whole life.
wow.
So when the semester ended, it was just the decision that I had to make. Do I want to come back or do I not want to come back? Thankfully, I have a family and friends that do not let me give up. And my boyfriend, he was just like, "You're getting on the plane." And I'm like, "No, I'm not getting on the plane." And he's like, "Yes, you are." 9 times out of 10, I got on a plane because I ended up finishing a degree. So when I came back, I just had to make it up in my mind that I'm going to finish and I'm going to maintain my peace. And when I start operating in the spirit of peace, that's when my perspective changed. When my perspective changed, my experience changed. So I
Mm,
was I was good after that. I was good because I was like, I'm on my peace. It's peace mode now. I don't want any of that. And that's what helped me understand it. So it was definitely a different level, but it was one where I just had to become very strategic.
mm, wow. So while we're chatting, I want to interject for all the listeners. If you missed us as we opened up, this is Tidra Jackson, one of the co-authors of the Intentional Living, the anthology book that was released earlier this year. I am Dr. Jatun Dorsey, the visionary. So I am glad to have you. We are glad to have you here. So make sure you say hello so we can greet you back as you come into our virtual homes. And this is leading into, or up to, should I say, the live intentional high tea that's happening in Dallas, Texas on June 2nd. I'm just saying you might need to be in the place. Um, so what I'm going to do actually today, simply because it's Memorial Day weekend, is I want to give away a ticket. So for those of
Oh,
you who are listening and are interested in attending the tea and are in the DFW area, or you have a friend that is in the DFW area, you might want to tell them about this, but it has to happen while we're on the live. So I need you, if you hadn't already, to share this out, right? So if you've already shared it, I need you to share it again because now you have to add,
Sharon is Karen.
yeah, sharing is caring. Yes, absolutely. But I want you to add the hashtag IL as in intentional living, high T3. That's one. And then the other is IL virtual T2. Okay, so let me say those again. Hashtag IL high T3, hashtag IL virtual T2. Okay, so make sure you share this out, attach those two hashtags, and the first person that I see with the share and those two attached hashtags, will get a ticket to the high tea on June 2nd. Just saying, you might want to get that going. Okay, and now back to the regularly scheduled program. So then back to awakening your purpose. So you talked about, I'm just going to read how you said it here. I had to transform my discomfort into determination, my fear into faith, and my pain into peace, and to use my voice to ignite victory. What does all that mean to you, and how can someone else leverage that in their own lives so that they can live in peace and maintain the peace?
So for me, I came from a place of pain, and that pain created bitterness, which isn't healthy for anyone involved. And I didn't want to live like that. And I knew that wasn't who I was at my core. So it was one of those things to where I had to fight to get to a place that was comfortable. And fighting could be many different ways. For me, I just started reading daily devotions more. I started spending more and more time with God, but I also started spending time with people that will pour into me the way that I will pour into them. I
Mm-hmm.
also just started to fight off things that were coming at me, because sometimes you're not fighting a person, you're fighting the spirit within that person. And you
Yeah.
just have to understand that that's their spirit, that's within them, and that's on them. That has nothing to do with you. But you have to learn to protect you. And you,
Mm-hmm.
just because that's within them, you don't have to, get into it with them or anything like that. But you just have to protect yourself, and you have to protect your space. You can't control what anyone else do, but you can control you and how you respond. So
Absolutely.
that was my thing. That was my mindset. It was like, I'm not going to leave this place bitter about this experience. I'm going to leave this place enjoying what I had and my experience here. I had already spent the first 6 months doing that. I spent the first 6 months being bitter and being mad, and that just made me more angry while I was still paying for the degree. That's not going to make me happier either. So it was
Mm-hmm.
like, if I'm gonna pay for this, I need something to show for it besides my angerness. And you have to have it in your mind, and you just always have to have it like a stamp on your forehead that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to maintain peace. I'm going to do this. And after you constantly speak it into your life over and over and over again, it starts to happen. And
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes a habit. And then after it becomes a habit, you should get to the place to where, okay, I done mastered this now. Now it's time for me to share it with someone else who may be going through it.
Right, right. So, in all that, I mean, it just sounds like you are mature beyond your years, and and that's
I'm
it.
told I'm an old soul.
Well,
I
that's
was,
good.
I've been told I am an old soul, and I lived with my grandparents for a while too. So
Yeah.
I stayed with my grandfather and I stayed with my grandmother, like in middle and some of high school. So that may be it too.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, you mentioned your grandfather in the book a couple
Hmm.
times, maybe even three. And
Hmm.
you talked about how you had to remind yourself that you were his granddaughter. So tell us a little bit about
Hmm.
your grandfather, Emmett King, and how he
Hmm.
impacted your life to get you where you are today.
So my grandfather was such an amazing guy. He was just this cool cat. He was just real cool, real smooth, very, very smart, and he didn't take no stuff. He told you what was on his mind. And I love that about him. He was at every single award ceremony. And you know how they used to have those little Kodak cameras where you take the picture and it pull? He had those. Then he had disposal, and he stayed with cameras, which is why I'm probably so photogenic now, because he always encouraged us to capture the moment. If we went on a vacation and we didn't take pictures, he was not happy with us. Let's just say that. But he was one that was very financial savvy. I remember going to the bank with him every Saturday as he would deposit money, and he just instilled in us, your education is the one thing that somebody can't take from you.
Mm,
Get an education, make something out of yourself, be successful. We had this chant in the car, and he'll say, "Who's real?" And we'll say, "I'm real." So he was just an amazing man. We got paid for grades, which is why I think I love school so much, because for so many A's we'll get money. So until I found out that's just like not real, not how life works. But he was a really good guy, and he pushed us to get our education. He rewarded us for making good grades and progressing in life. My junior year of high school, he passed away. So
Mm.
that was right, and it was crazy because when he passed away, I saw him that same day, and he told me, I have to get well so I can see you walk across the stage.
Oh,
So he never was physically there to walk me across the stage, but I literally embodied his attitude, and I embodied the fact that he was a fighter. He served our country for about 20 years in the Army as a private first class. So I just embodied his grit, his determination, and his wisdom to never stay down. It's okay to get down, but don't stay down. Always become a fighter. So I just basically had an identity check, and I was like, my grandfather is Emmett Lee King. I'm
mm,
the King kid. Like, this ain't gonna happen to me, because I could hear him sometimes like speaking to me like, what's wrong with you? You already know who you are. So if
mm.
I know who I am, and if I know whose I am, why am I having an identity crisis?
Yes, girl, we're gonna get this collection plate. Let me see if I can find a box or something. Let me see. Y'all going to drop your coins.
Yeah.
Just drop a few coins. Matter of fact, give us what folds, not the one that jingles.
Yes.
No, but really, that is good. And you often ask people, who is your inspiration, or what is your inspiration? And I love the way that you showed us your grandfather. It's like you really gave us a feel of Mr. King, and we
Mm-hmm.
all want to get to know him, but we'll get to know him through you. So I'm sure he is
Thank
very
you.
proud of his granddaughter. So as we talk about
Thank you.
the influence that he had on you to really be strong and to not question your identity. One thing that you talked about, and as we mentioned in the post, adversity, right, and inclusion became one of your areas that you really honed in on and that you were really passionate about. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, you also ran into a challenge in that area as well through an organization. So, why don't you
Mm-hmm.
tell us a little bit about that diversity and how you overcame that?
So, it was just very interesting because I've never really been exposed to diversity per se. I wasn't really exposed to it until I went to Paul Quinn, and Paul Quinn is a HBCU. So from elementary school, or we could say homeschool, I've just always been exposed to one specific culture, and that's African American. So when I prayed for my master's program, I knew I needed diversity on my resume. I knew I needed that. I had mentors that advised me to do that. So I picked Pepperdine, which isn't an HBCU. And that's a transition in itself when you go from an HBCU to a school that's not an HBCU. The culture is just completely different. When you get into economic statuses, that's completely different as well. So within the club, I just started to notice a lot of subliminal messages within the body languages. Within the body language, if I would ask, hey, can we have diversity week, or can we do this? Well, I don't think we should participate in diversity week. Um, I'm confused as to why we shouldn't participate in diversity week, because Silicon Valley is going through who knows what. Uber is doing everything under the sun. Like, this needs to be talked about in our week. And it's, you just, oh, I think this, or oh, I think that. And that's fine, because that's what you think, and that's not an issue of yours, but it's my reality that I have to face.
Mm.
So I just decided that I partnered with other people. It was one guy, he was the visionary of Diversity Week. So we just band together and we created Diversity Week. And it was magical. It was so magical. I ironically became a social media person. So every morning before class, I'm talking about Diversity Week. I'm like filming everything. I hired a guy to create a whole Diversity Week recap of all my Snapchat videos. So it was one of those things to where it became a passion of mine when we were able to sit people who did not come from the same backgrounds, but understand that they had so many things in common. And I had one guy, him and I was talking, and he asked me, he said, "How many siblings do you have?" I said, "I have six." He said, "Well, I have six siblings." And he considered himself a feminist. And I said, "Well, why are you a feminist?" He said, "Because all of my siblings are sisters." And I was like, "You should be a feminist then at that point." So it was, and he told me, he said, "I would not have thought that we had so many things in common than we do not in common." And that was the purpose of having the week, to get to know people. And I received a lot of comments from students who attended. It was like, "Man, that was very insightful. Thanks for putting it on." Me and the whole crew that we did it with, but we left Diversity Week feeling fulfilled and rewarded. We were tired. We were tired because our studies still had to continue. But it
Right.
was one of those things to where it's just like, if you don't want to do it, we will do it and we would make it happen. And we're going to do it whether you're going to participate or not. And that's on you. That has nothing to do with me. But I know I need this for myself. And this is something that this campus needs in regards to their exposure. So we had it. And then this year as well, one of our friends who recently graduated, she helped host the second Diversity Week. So we're hoping it'll keep going and going and going. But so far, Diversity Week, it has been a success. It has been 2 years. This year made the second year. So we were excited to start a legacy. We hope to continue the legacy.
Wow, blazing new trails. Look at
Yeah.
you. Y'all don't know who you talking to here or listening to, should I say? Teacher is, I mean, she just blazing new trails. I know you mentioned flaming your igniting your flame and maintaining your peace and all of that. But girl, you are doing some great things. I am so proud of you.
Thank
So
you.
as we kind of get to the end of this, I wanted to see if there was anything that we didn't discuss from your chapter that you did want to share. But remember and keep in mind, we don't want to give them all the tea because they
No,
need
we're
to
not
do
giving
what?
them all the tea.
Yeah, they
They
need
need
to
to buy the book.
exactly. See, she got plenty in inventory, so I'm just saying.
Yes. I, I stay stacked. They're in my work bag too, just in case. You always have to be prepared. You never know when an opportunity comes.
Right. So, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I would just add to continue to just blaze the trail, continue to literally live the life that God has destined for you. As I always say within my blog, you're created for a reason. Like God put you on this planet to serve some type of purpose, and that purpose is not for you, it's for others. You're carried. God gonna carry you through it when you feel like you can't walk, because I felt like I needed to be in a wheelchair plenty of times, so don't worry. And he's going to cover you. He never said that the weapons wouldn't form or whatnot, but there you're gonna be fine. You're gonna prosper and you're gonna be successful. And most of all, just like this virtual tea, when I listened to it last year, it was my dream to be on it, not knowing how, not knowing when, and not knowing how it was gonna come about. But this is a crowning moment. So every
Wow.
create, cover, carry leads always to a crowning moment, just like every trial leads to a triumph. So understand the process, submit to the process that God has before you. I'm here for you. Dr. Jatun, she's here for everybody. So we're just trying to get on her level and stay intentional and be productive while maintaining the peace of mind.
Look at
So
you.
I told you I've been taking notes on this
I can
stuff.
see you have. But I'm
So
saying we all need to take notes on what you just mentioned, the created, covered, carried, and crowned. The
clown.
way that you
It's
broke
the
that down.
process.
Yes.
Yes, it's the process that we all go through, and it's not an easy process. Just like our book process, it wasn't easy for us to put everything or what we did put on in within the book, but we submitted to the process that God had for us, and we were obedient, and we said yes. Each one of us said yes to God, and when you say
Yes.
yes to God, everything else will take care of itself. Like Dr.
Mm.
Jatan, you said yes to being a visionary on top of being a corporate leader and a visionary and a professor and a wife and everything else. Like you say yes to all that. So when you say yes, it's like, well, what I have to complain about? I should be saying yes too. So it's one of those things to where say yes to God, no to yourself, and just stay crowned. Stay crowned.
I love it. So I just want to share some of the feedback you're getting. Amen. Yes to God. Stay productive while keeping a peace of mind. Listen now, you have enough to write a blog and a book and something else. I don't know. And Monique said she's so proud of you.
Thank you.
Crowning moment. Love it. Great job.
Thank you.
Yes, he will carry you and cover you.
Mm-hmm.
DeLacy
Always
said,
will.
DeLacy said that you always have inspired her.
Thank you,
Love
Delay.
it.
I love you.
Bridget says, stay crowned, girl. Stay crowned.
Tell her I got her. Tell her we gotta stay crowned and sip our tea because it ain't in between. It don't have nothing to do with them. It's between us and God. We're gonna
Yes.
sip our